Good morning, Dan and Amy. So you heard at the top, President Obama, part of the video he released, the I'm With Her video, endorsing Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders not ready to go quite that far yet, but it seems, and Brett Baer said this too last time when we spoke with him, seems like it's a slow walk to consolidating support behind Hillary Clinton, and probably will be well choreographed leading up to the convention, with Bernie coming out at some point and raising Hillary's hand and all of the socialists applauding as instructed. But back to the President Obama video endorsing, and just the more important point, the endorsement of Hillary Clinton. There was an important exchange between James Rosen from Fox News Channel and Josh Earnest, the Dickensian named spokesbeing for the regime, when the issue of conflict of interest arose. I mean, does the president indicating that he wants Hillary Clinton to succeed him, how does that impact the investigation, criminal, Josh Earnest finally said, criminal investigation into Hillary Clinton? What kind of message does it send to career prosecutors and investigators?
So when a career prosecutor or an FBI agent who's working on the Clinton investigation hears this president speak openly of how he wants Hillary Clinton to succeed him, you don't think that that career prosecutor or that FBI agent takes that as some indication of how the president wants to see this case resolved?
No. I think that those career prosecutors understand that they have a job to do, and that job that they are supposed to do, which is to follow the facts, to pursue the evidence to a logical conclusion, that is a job that they are responsible for doing without any sort of political interference. And the president expects them to do that job. And look, this is the reason that we actually ask career federal prosecutors to take the lead on these kinds of matters. They're the ones who conduct this investigation. They are not, they don't have political jobs. They have career jobs as law enforcement officers.
Well, for more on this dynamic, we're pleased to be joined again by Joe Trippi, of course, Fox News political analyst, the author of the book, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, Democracy, the Internet, and the Overthrow of Everything. And you see him on Fox squaring off against Karl Rove and others often. Joe, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, great to be with you guys.
So what of this dynamic, not just the endorsement and the resistance by Bernie Sanders of endorsing Hillary Clinton, but as it pertains to the pending investigation criminal investigation into Hillary Clinton, which she says there's nothing to worry about and nobody knows how she knows that?
Well, look, I think Josh Earnest said it from the podium. The career investigators should do their job. And that is coming from the White House. I mean, he said it at the podium. I think that's we are in the middle of a presidential campaign. I think both the president, Biden, Bernie Sanders, there's a whole slew of people inside and outside the White House who believe Donald Trump should not be the next president of the United States. And obviously the president is going to support the nominee of the Democratic Party, and that's going to be Hillary Clinton. So I think what's really the significance of the whole thing, of what's happened in the last few days, is it's clear that Hillary Clinton has, the 4 or 5 big guns rolling out. Elizabeth Warren, Obama, Vice President Biden, Bernie Sanders clearly going to be joining that. And at the same time, Trump is sort of out there by himself with maybe Christie, standing behind him. But there certainly aren't any big guns. The Mitt Romneys of the world and the Bushes and just Martinez in New Mexico. I mean, there's no one stepping out right now. So I think over the end we'll see the investigation. At some point, everybody's going to know what the FBI and Justice Department did or didn't do, and what they found. And that's why you have an election. The voters will be able to make that choice at that time.
Don't you think Loretta Lynch's judgment is cloudy now that Obama is backing Hillary Clinton?
Well, look, I mean, I understand people believing and thinking that, and I understand where that's coming from, but I don't know anybody on the right or the left who believes the director of the FBI is in any way clouded by anything that anyone above him says. Comey's going to do his job, and I think the people who work for him will do it, and we'll know what they recommend. So I mean, and I haven't heard one person say that's not the truth.
No, that's fair. That's a fair point.
So, I don't think any of this matters at this point.
Well,
what matters is what Comey decides to do.
Well, in terms of what matters, I mean, you talk about the big guns of the Democratic Party rallying around Hillary Clinton, and maybe not so much with Republicans. But isn't that kind of Trump's brand? Isn't that part of the contrast where Trump's got, I don't know, he's got of the 31 Republican governors, he's got about 6 or 7 that have outright endorsed him, and another, I don't know, 15 to 18 that have said, I'll support the nominee, a little bit more tepid. But certainly the majority of Republican governors have fallen in line. Some are much more quiet over the last week because of the comments about Judge Curiel, but they've generally fallen in line. Even Paul Ryan has not walked back his statement that he is going to vote for Donald Trump again, even though there's some tepidness there. But part of Trump's brand is, who cares about politicians endorsing other politicians? If they don't want to come support me, that's fine. I'm just kind of taking my populist message where populists do, which is right to the people. And if the establishment doesn't like it, well, that's all the better. That gives me that much more currency with the constituency I'm trying to represent.
I don't have any doubt that you're right about that with Trump supporters and people that are already attracted to him. The problem is, to broaden out, you've got to unify the Republican Party completely, and then he's got to broaden out even beyond that, beyond the Republican brand to win. And I think, I would point to Governor Kasich in Ohio as like just the sort of the quintessential problem here. He's actually talking about hosting the Republican convention in his state while not necessarily supporting Donald Trump. Well, Ohio is kind of, first of all, he's still pretty popular in Ohio, and Ohio is like, if the Republicans don't win that state, Trump doesn't win the presidency. You have no chance if you're a Republican if you don't win Ohio. No Republican has won the White House without it. So I mean, you start to just see, yes, it's tepid. Yes, but a Republican is lucky to win Ohio if everybody is unified behind him. Let alone, the sitting governor saying you're not ready for prime time.
Well, Joe, has Governor Kasich decided to go to the convention? Because for a while he wasn't going to go, and even though it's in his home state.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that sort of, again, points out the problem here. You've got a sitting Republican governor in a key swing state. You're holding the convention there on purpose to try to push that state over with your big show, and you've got a Republican governor who either isn't going to show up, if he does show up, may not be supporting Trump. I mean, I'm not saying that this is, stops any chance of Trump getting there. I'm just saying this is a pretty serious problem compared when I think people thought in the last couple of weeks, the Democratic side wasn't going to come together. What would Bernie be pushing for? I think it is going to come together much like 2008, where you had Obama and Clinton going in, and she made the nomination motion for acclamation behind Obama. I think it's much more likely to be like that, and there may be a nice show in Cleveland for the GOP, but it's still pretty dicey for Trump to put this all together. Part of the problem for him is, you see this, party leaders and donors and people he needs start to gravitate to him when good Donald comes out for a few days, and then they're shocked again 4 days later when he says something about a judge or says nasty things about Governor Martinez in New Mexico. I mean, so, and then they all move away, and then he gets good again for a couple of days, and that's going to be a seesaw that happens from now to November because he just doesn't have the kind of message discipline that they're going to be able to put their faith in. And a lot of these swing state Senate races where you have senators who can lose their seats, they're not going to be able to hug him one day and run away from him the next. So they've got to, at some point here, the seesaw's got to stop, and I'm not sure it's going to be with a big bear hug of Donald Trump, but we'll see.
But in 2008, I mean, just to distinguish 2008, there was not a never Obama movement. There was unbelievable enthusiasm, unbridled enthusiasm behind Barack Obama as the nominee. That's clearly not the case here. And let me put this question to you, though. Let me put this question to you. Do you think this race turns out to be less Hillary versus Donald and more never Hillary versus never Donald?
No, I think this is. I think first of all, it's not true about 2008. 47% of all Clinton supporters said they weren't going to vote for Obama coming out of the last primaries, and there was a Puma movement of women, which was Party Unity, my rear end. That was just like the Bernie or Bust movement. So it didn't materialize. But I think this is really going to be, this thing is essentially, in my view, baked in the cake. In that I think the press and pundits want to sort of focus on never Hillary and never Trump, and I understand that. But it's not real. I think the country's so polarized that Trump is going to be the great unifier for Democrats. Hillary Clinton's going to be the great unifier for the GOP, even despite the comments I just made about governors and senators not being with them. That's going to come together at the grassroots and rank and file level anyway. And it's really who can expand. And that's where I think Trump has a big problem because of his rhetoric. He's the one that I think can't really expand outside of the base very, very well. And that's, for a Republican in a national election, that's a very, very tough thing to do. Romney got the highest percentage of white votes up close, nearly beat or tied George H.W. Bush's record. And it only gets to 206 electoral votes. He's got to expand beyond that. He may be able to expand into blue-collar Democrats. We'll see if he can. But he's got to really expand somewhere, and I just don't see him doing that in enough of the swing states to have a real shot at winning.
All right,
at least
Joe,
the way he's headed now.
He is Joe Trippi, Fox News contributor, political analyst, also longtime Democrat political operative, and the book, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, Democracy, the Internet, and the Overthrow of Everything. Joe, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you guys. Take care.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.